Hello, I hope you're having a great day. Today's video is a forcemaster floor 1 through 7 run through where I want to show you how you can go through Mushin's tower on every floor. This is for beginners or people new to forcemaster trying to get their first win on Mushin's for the first time. I also have an extra little bit at the end where I beat Mushin with a broken weapon, so I'm sitting at about 450 AP without that. I still have all my skills and things and all the defenses. I'm also running a master's dumpling to increase defense so I don't die instantly, but it should be a really good fight for people to see that you can use mechanics in the dungeon to beat it. You don't necessarily need to rely on overwhelming force. I hope you enjoy, and with that, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so to get started, I just want to go over the skills really quick that you're going to want. The first one we're going to go over is Skyburn. Skyburn's going to let you knock him down from range instead of placing your knockdown right over yourself. It's not super necessary, but getting him to knock down multiple times is a really good way to enable a smooth run. Meteor Shower, if you get the blue book for Meteor Shower, it helps with focus regen. It's not necessary. I don't run it in my build, but that's because I also have a couple other skills that help with that later on that we'll touch on. Next, we're going to look at Dual Dragons Impact Burn. Dual Dragons you want over Wicked Twin Dragons. You're never going to have time to channel Wicked Twin Dragons, but Dual Dragons will cast instantly and give you a lot of good focus recovery and also apply 5 stacks Embers. You also are going to want Impact Burn. Impact Burn lets you stun him when he's frozen. This means you can combo your 3 into a 1 for stun and make that work really well and interrupt him during a lot of his combos. Next, we're going to move on to Fiendfire. It really doesn't matter which one, Fiendfire, Inferno. Fiendfire does more damage and you get instant cast when you are able to hit your 1 on a burn target, so that's why we run Fiendfire. It's just extra damage straight up. I prefer Dragon Whirl just because it gives me an extra little bit of HP recovery on top of applying the Frozen to him. And the big one that I wanted to touch on, it's not necessary, but it is a huge quality of life improvement, is Firestorm. Firestorm, when you get green or blue book, allows you to parry the first attack that he does within a second of you casting. This means that you can wait for him to do a dash onto you and cast Firestorm, and it'll instantly parry him, giving you a second to walk away and stun him without having to use a bigger cooldown like your Frost Sheath or Frost Armor. Next up, what we're going to look at is Blue Frost Palm, which gives you 0 focus on your right click. Now, this is not necessary, but it's very good to have if you want a very smooth rotation. You don't have to worry about weaving in a bunch of other spells for focus recovery. Without Blue Frost Palm, you'd want to be running Blazing Palm instead of Infernal Blow. I can run Infernal Blow because I have no focus on my Frost Palm, but if I did have that focus condition on it, you'd want the focus recovery from Blazing Palm over the extra damage that Infernal Blow gives you. I'm running a Blazing Beam setup, so of course that's going to be the main DPS skill. You're also going to see 3 extra Blazing Beams right there. I know they're all green, I'm poor, that's what it is. Last for our skills, we're going to look at Balefire and Frost Sheath. Now, Balefire is the premier focus recovery skill that I use. It immediately burns the target, which means you don't have to worry about trying to hit them with your 1 again. And it also gives you a ton of focus recovery. I honestly don't ever have to cast Meteor Shower or worry about getting Cold Snap or something like that for extra focus regen because I have Blue Balefire. But if you don't have Blue Balefire, but you have the other ones for extra focus recovery, you can rely on those instead. Frost Sheath is also going to be super important. You don't need a blue book for it, you just need standard green book Frost Sheath, but you do need something in order to kind of interrupt some of his dashes and combos that he's going to be trying to do onto you. Next up, we're going to look at Mystic Badge. The Mystic Badge doesn't really matter, but this is the one I have. It really doesn't come into play in any way, but there you go. And then Soul Badge, we're going to want the Soul Badge that increases our DPS skills, so of course I have the Blazing Beam Soul Badge. You can see with everything I have together, we're sitting at 743 AP and a 2,800-ish crit rate. Unfortunately, my crit damage is incredibly bad, but thankfully that doesn't really matter for myself right now. The other thing that I want to touch on are optional skills that you can put in as well. So instead of extra damage for Blazing Beams or things like that, you can also run Cold Snap. Blue Cold Snap gives you focus regen back the same way that Blue Meteor Shower does. So like I said, if you don't have that Blue Balefire, you can have those instead. You can also run Frost Armor. Frost Armor at green or above will give you extra health back. So that's just a way to kind of heal yourself in addition to any of the other potions you're using to give yourself that extra little bit of HP to try and eke through the fight if you're having a hard time. Alright, we're going to be doing a voiceover for the run through while we play some footage that I got from streaming. The first floor is going to be pretty simple. You get to choose 2 of 6 different classes in order to fight. The ones I personally choose are Blade Master and then Forcemaster. I used to choose Blade Master and Destroyer, but now that I have enough AP and enough damage to kill the Forcemaster very easily within the span of bubble, I take less damage dealing with the Forcemaster. These are just basic class fights. You're going to want to try to kite them out and use your CC to drop them on the floor. Other than that, it's really just an issue of making sure that you're checking potions if you're getting low. Standard combos here and standard boss circle tanking is all that you need in order to get through this dungeon. With the Forcemaster, of course, instead of tanking or moving around and circling, you're just going to drop your bubble and DPS them down. They might try and grab you out. It's okay. They usually won't do that until much later. You always want to open with your knockdown on the ground into a combo, usually right click, left click spam, into Twin Dragons, which will apply 5-stack Ember immediately, granting you the ability to hit 1 and you'll be able to instant cast your X for Inferno or Fiendfire, sorry. Here the Forcemaster knocked me out of the bubble, but I just go and DPS them down anyways, because I have the AP to do that. If you have less AP, if it takes you a little longer time, either choose Destroyer, they're just as easy as the Blade Master to take care of on Forcemaster, or you can just use your CC to grant yourself a bit more of extra time. Standard combo here, Soul Core, into Knockdown, into Apply Burn, into XX, into just kite the boss spamming right click, left click, and 2. Remember that I am running the right click blue skill, so that way it doesn't cost any focus. So my left clicks are granting me 1 focus each, my blue skills do not cost me focus, and my 2 skill will cost me 2 focus, and I will regenerate some focus on critical hits. I accidentally stepped into the fire here. Golden Diva is a very easy boss to just constantly kite, circle around. His attacks are all very big and slow, just be careful of not getting caught in them. You can dash if you feel like you're going to be caught, or you can sheath if really necessary. The fire he lays on the ground is a little dangerous. Onto the 3rd floor we have kind of just a mob cleanup. The first several people that walk in here are just little mobs. You have to kill the boss of each little mob. And then there's a circle of snipers that you see us gunning down right now in front of us. And they don't do anything unless you hit them first, and then only the 3 in each squad do. So you typically kill one of the bosses and then go kill a squad, or just kill all the squads in between while the other little bosses are coming down. And like I said, you only have to kill the main boss of each little squad that comes in here. So the little squad that comes in here, the main boss will always be the first guy sitting in the very center facing you. And the first 3 have very little AP, or sorry, not HP. The last guy who comes in here is going to be a bit more of a challenge. It's going to be basically a Kung Fu Master enemy, but it's going to be almost no different than if you were facing the first floor. You're just going to want to kite them out and drop your DPS when you can. They may damage your health a bit, but remember you're expecting to go through potions in this dungeon, so just make sure you're topped up on those, have some dumplings for in between, and you should be good to go. Here we've gotten through the first 3 little squads, and now that last Kung Fu Master is going to come out. We're just waiting for him to kind of get to the stage. You can use this time to heal if you need. Remember, you can also heal without potions a little bit by using your 3 skill, as it grants you some max % HP healing on use, and so does your ice your ice prison if you spec for that. I've not spec ice prison for that, so I don't really use it like that, but you can. So here, just basic circle tanking. You're going to want to kite the boss as much as possible, and remember you can always use your CCs as well. I don't use my CC just because I'm stubborn, but you can easily knock him down, get some extra DPS that way. I'll usually try to get the stun in by pressing 3 into 1, so Dragon Whirl into Impact Burn, and that gives me a little bit of extra time and leeway. Here you have to choose, you're forced to choose a teammate. I pick At random, it doesn't matter which one you choose, they're all equally as useless. Standard combo, Soul Core into burning them down with our skills. The Jingeshi won't attack as much as the other bosses, but it will summon these little tiny adds. For the most part, I just ignore the adds. You can even freeze them in place with your 3 if you want, and then drop all your AoE skills on top of them and try to DPS them and the boss together. I will oftentimes just try to ignore them, but you can focus them down first if you find that they're causing you problems. The little guys get hit by your CC the same way everything else does, but the Jingeshi does have a 2-bar CC. So that means that you have to hit it twice with 2 knockdowns if you want to actually apply a knockdown or stun or whatever you have. And forcemasters aren't the best with PvE specs to do that, so basically just focus on DPS and trying to avoid it. The ad that you summon for yourself will help you out a little bit, but it's not going to be too significant. This boss, floor 5, is a DPS check. It does have an enrage timer, however, you can offset the amount of issue that you have here by grabbing these little buffs all around. I believe the red buff is like an AP or damage buff. I'm not super sure. And then the others give you like health regen or focus regen or something like that. So just remember, if those pillars are lit up, just stand over top of one of them, you'll get a nice little buff. The boss's attacks are very slow, but they hit very, very hard, so make sure that you're avoiding them at all costs. If you're standing pretty far away from it, you can normally just walk outside of their range, or it'll just do it without being there. You can also interrupt it very easily by just using your 3-1 combo to stun it. If it ever pulls you in like this, just backstep. It'll also apply frost when you backstep, so then you can follow that up with a stun on it later to interrupt it even more. Here I use the Veil to block its AoE, or its range attack, but it's not really necessary. You can also just keep moving too. It's not an auto target, it just targets the floor. So as long as you're constantly moving, you're not really going to get caught by it. And always remember to keep your hands on your Q and E if you feel like you need to dodge out of it. Here I think I use Q in order to get through it, since my SS was on cooldown after it pulled me in. If you're outside of that red circle, it won't pull you in, and you can just keep free firing, but basic dodging and using your iframes in order to get through that boss. And here we get the wheel. And the wheel will spawn 4 different bosses depending on what you roll. I got the Pig Hogdogony. You can also get the bosses from Brightstones or Skittering or the other blue dungeon, I forget which one, but it's basically all 4 blue dungeon bosses from Moonwater Plain. There is a very small chance to get a tiny little golden pig, and that is very dream come true. It's just this tiny little golden pig that walks around on the floor, and you kill it in one shot, and that's your boss fight. So if you get that, bless your lucky stars, you don't have to deal with fighting the actual boss. For all the bosses that spawn on this floor, they're basically the same thing as if you would fight them in the regular dungeons. So if you don't have that experience tanking them, it's similar, just circle tanking. Remember, will just have those huge yellow cones for the most part. They might smack you occasionally. However, the one you really want to watch out for is the spider. It has a lot more untelegraphed attacks that will really mess you up. And there you have to do some extra levels of kiting and possibly healing, or lots of SS backsteps, dodges with your iframes and that kind of stuff, just at kind of appropriate times. You kind of have to feel it out. So now that we're done with that, we finally get to the main event, Mushin. So this is going to be the first run with full gear. I like to have a Serendipity Potion and a Potent Soju to increase my health, as well as the Master's Dumpling. I don't need to, but it makes the run that much more easy to do, so even if I mess up and I'm half brain dead, I don't have to worry about it as much. And I'm not saying that you can be brain dead and beat this dungeon per se, but I'm saying once you've done it enough, you'll get used to when to do things. So here we start seeing the stances, which happen after 80%. That was his turtle stance going into Phoenix. The turtle stance is basically summoning a whole bunch of ice things on the ground, and then he'll dash at you. The Phoenix stance he will immediately use after using turtle stance if you're far enough away. If not, he will just pursue you, very similar to how he is now, without switching to Phoenix stance. This is similar, just basic circle tanking that you're going to want to do. Remember that if you knock him down, you get free DPS. If you stun him, you get free DPS. But also, knocking him down, he trips over twice, so you get extra time from that. Make sure that you're using your CCs to give yourself as much breathing room and save your HP as possible. You're also going to want to be chugging potions. I am not doing that right now, but I would recommend doing so. And just do a basic combo. Here I hid into his counter. Normally he would go and attack me with a 2-part dash, but here he actually channels Black Dragon instead because I triggered a breakpoint, and then he goes into the counter move. But in general, you want to save your Ice Sheath for his counter, your Ice Tab for his dragon, and also remember you can always use your Fire Tab in a tight spot as well. Your Fire Tab that parries when they hit is a great way to cause him, whenever he dashes onto you, to just walk away. We get him down super low, and then he channels Black Dragon 3 times, which is super unfortunate, but he won't always do this. If he does, just make sure you can CC him out of it. Sometimes you can also block it with, once again, you have 4 different modes of SS, Tab, Fire, Tab, Ice, and also your Sheath. This is the 450 AP run. So here the mechanics matter a lot more because I don't have the DPS to just kind of steamroll over things as much. We begin with a couple knockdowns into our standard damage combo. After that, he's going to pursue us with some basic attacks. Remember, his second phase starts at 80% health, so until his second phase, he will not be using any stances. Now, with the start of his second phase, he goes into Turtle Stance. I knock him away, so that way I get him to trigger Phoenix. At Phoenix, he's going to put a mark on the ground. I stand in it lazily, but I use my tab to block his dash once he dashes into me. I try to knock him over, but he goes into Black Dragon, so during that he's immune to CC. I just have to use Ice Tab to avoid the Black Dragon damage, and then we continue kiting as normal. 3 into stun to knock him away. He's always going to try to do those little pokes, and then he's going to dash behind you, do another poke, and try to go into a counter. Here he interrupts his counter by doing Turtle Stance, so he's going to summon the ice. There's the counter. So whenever I see the counter, that's when I use Ice V in order to sheath myself, so as soon as he hits me, I just wait for both attacks to go through, and then I continue DPSing. Remember that you can keep your range at all times, and anytime you see him using Phoenix Stance, it's great because that means you get to just walk in a circle and deal damage to him. As soon as he's done with Phoenix Stance, he will dash at you, and that's when he wants to use your Tab Fire to parry his dash and cause him to get stunned for a second, and while you get to walk away. Remember that your X is always a instant cast as soon as you hit a burning target with 1, so there I got him burning, I hit him with 1, and then I get to instant cast X. That's going to be your highest burst damage skill, and you want to use it off of cooldown every time. Here we see him using Black Dragon again, so he's going to dash in and just ice it. Counter Ice Sheath is what we're going to try to use, but unfortunately we get caught in it, and that's both dashes of his counter. A lot of damage, and now we're going to be chugging potions to try to make sure we stay up and healthy enough to finish off this boss. As he goes down, we see him channeling Turtle Stance again. Remember, you can always look at the letters above his head. There he goes into Black Dragon, and I counter it with the parry, not having my sheaths off cooldown. I stun him out of another approach and kind of face tank his final dash. He's on a little bit of HP left, so I know I can just DPS him down before he does another stance, and there we go, the final run. There you go. You can beat Junghado 450 AP if you have the right stats and the right skills. That was with a broken weapon.